Hey, what's up, y'all? Dan back at you with another video. This is another strand video, another strand build guide. This is our hunter. This is our second of the 3 strand videos that we have coming out this week in regards to builds for each class. I wanted to make sure we got these out here early after we had all the fragments and had done some testing, and I think the strand is really good. So I wanted to get a hunter video out. This one's going to take a look at suspending. I know I talked about suspension was very strong. This one's going to be all around the 6 coyote and the shackle grenade, and just keeping everything suspended as often as possible and taking advantage of the crowd control that strand offers. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave them in the comments. Of course, I have a dim link in the description as well for the exact build I use as well. So enjoy. Alright, so this is the Strand Hunter. This is all around suspending enemies for as long as possible and just running around those suspended enemies all the time. There are a few things that I want to mention. That the Reaper and Dynamo mods are currently disabled. If those were enabled, I think they would be a part of this build, because those make our supers and our orb regeneration even higher. But I do think this is a good starter point, and once those are added, I'll probably make an updated video to add those in and just hopefully make this build even better. Alright, this build is all around just diving and suspending all of our enemies around us as long as we can, so we can get not so much free kills, but kill enemies as often as possible, and then move into getting those abilities back as fast as we can. So what I like to run is triple tier 7 resilience, recovery, and discipline, and then just using all of the orbs and just other mods in order to get me to getting my abilities back as fast as we can. I think tier 4 to tier 5 mobility is good. Having the resilience is very needed, having the recovery is really needed, and the discipline is really needed as well. And I think the mobility is really good. However, I think the other 3 perks are way better. So to start off with the helmet, we're going to run resilience mods. Pretty much anything right here, as I always say, whatever you need to get those 3 stats to tier 7 is what you want to go for. I like to run heavy ammo scout and heavy ammo finder. Of course, like I said, once Dynamo and Reaper and all that is fixed, I might swap those for these right here. But until then, we just run heavy ammo finder and scout just to give heavy for me and my entire fire team. And then of course the siphon mod based around volatile, void. Unlike some other builds, we don't really run a lot of strand weapons. Instead, because everything is suspended, we like to pair it with a chill clip fusion rifle, or just something with chill clip. Works really well with suspending enemies all around us. So I like to go with chill clip and just take advantage of void siphon to make our orbs of power. We just, of course, with artifice armor, get free resilience, so we put that there. For me, I like to run double grenade kickstart. So every time I toss a grenade, I get a chunk of my grenade back, just to get me closer to another shackle nade. You could go for 1 at the minimum, but I like to go for 2. Also pairing that with font of focus, which when I pick up an orb of power, it gives me a higher amount of discipline. I think it's 30%, so it gives me about 100 discipline for as long as I have a charge. And when I toss, of course, I lose those charges, but it also gives me just another way to get a faster shackle grenade more often. Of course, on the 6 coyote, which gives us double dodges, so we have 2 dives. I like to run a concussive dampener and an emergency reinforcement. This is a little bit different. Most of the time I like to run just resilience, but I like to have the emergency reinforcement instead. It does cost 3 consumed stacks, so if you're not seeing that you can take advantage of emergency reinforcement often, by all means just swap it back to the other mod. But I like to run this because hopefully I don't really need to have the max resilience at all times, so this just can help me in a pinch if my shields get broken. That being said, it does cost 3, so if you don't have 3 armor charges and your shields are broken, you will not get the increased damage reduction. So I like to run charged up. As always, it's giving me more stacks of charge so I can have a higher amount. So if I'm tossing my grenades or needing to break my shields, I just have that up more often. This is kind of a little bit of what I prefer just for my play style, but this is a free slot. If you're not seeing that you really are getting to the max stacks often, or you don't need it, you can swap it out for something else. But I do think the most important thing is having your stacks of charges as high as possible, as often as possible. On the boots, I like to run, of course, recuperation. Picking up orbs gives me a chunk of health. Absolution. Picking up orb gives me a chunk of all of my abilities, and I also like orbs of restoration. Sometimes I will like to put on a surge, but I don't think the surge is needed on this build. Since everything's suspended, you have more than enough time to kill everything as necessary. Unless you just want to go ham, go ahead. But since I find myself being very, very simple with this build, I just like to put on orbs of power, just having me another way to getting ability energy. So orbs of restoration is what I go for. Time dilation, as always, just to have a longer charge of everything is very, very, very nice. This is the freebie. Proximity ward just is another way of just, if I need to finish something to get an overshield real quickly, I like doing that. Since everything's suspended, I shouldn't have ever a time that I don't have the ability to just get a finisher just to get an overshield. Just another way of just always being healed and always being available to just stay in the fray of just fighting and just suspending everything and not having to run away. On top of that, I like to run distribution. This is a interesting thing because generally what I would like to do is run a bomber. However, if you use your dive, you do not get the effects of bomber. So you can't use bomber to get your grenade back, which kind of sucks. Really, really sucks. Even distribution doesn't work. If you do the dive, you have to do the normal dodge in order to get that back. But I just have to remember to do that. Sometimes I'll use it if everything's suspended and I have a dodge and I'm close to a grenade and I don't want to, dodge again, or dive again. I can just do a quick dodge and get my abilities back a little bit faster. So distribution is nice. I wish the dive worked for all of the dodge stuff that a hunter did, but since it doesn't, we can't run bomber. We can't run some of the other stuff that we wish we could. But proximity ward and distribution is what I go for. And maybe it's bugged. If they fix it, we'll change it. But if not, this is what you should go with for. For the subclass, these three are the must. This one's your freebie. I like to run thread of continuity. Suspend lasts as long as we wanted to, about 10 seconds, which is so good. Defeating suspended targets gives us our dodge back faster, which is very important as well. Dodging is all a part of the gameplay loop, is getting our abilities back. And of course, dealing damage generates grenade energy. We want our shackle grenade as much as we can. We want our dive/dodge as often as we can. This one is kind of the freebie, as I was saying earlier. Depending on your situation, I like to switch between picking up an orb of power gives me woven mail, which is just a free 50% damage for 30 seconds, so about 25 seconds every time you pick up an orb of power, and that timer resets. Or if you're not really taking advantage of it, you can do Thread of Wisdom, where defeating suspended targets with precision final blows creates an orb of power. So if you suspend a lot of enemies and kill each one with a precision shot, each one drops an orb of power. So it's really nice to pick up all those orbs and get your regeneration of your abilities and your super back faster. This is something that I think is really useful for mid to low end content. If you are in more in-game content and you're struggling to get the effects to work more often, a Thread of Wisdom, then just put on Woven Mail. But those two things are the ones that I found to be the most useful at all times. We'll give you a quick look at the weapons. I like a chill clip weapon with lead from gold. This is really good because all those suspended targets get the extra damage of chill clip and they just spread to everyone else. Really, really nice. You could also use a GL with chill clip, but having a chill clip weapon is very, 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 very nice. I like it with lead from gold because if I want to run double specials, lead from gold allows me to have more ammo more often across my weapons. Taking advantage of volatile flow, we have funnel web. You know what funnel web is. You could also use harsh language. You could also use unforgiven. Anything that's void, that's going to take advantage of, void volatile flow. That's what you want. It's going to be a very easy way of just making a bunch of orbs. I love it. And then for me, I like for high burst damage, Gallahorn. Another option, of course, is Anarchy, but I think Gallahorn is perfectly fine, especially because it can clear out waves of enemies in no time. And the super's fantastic. What I like to do sometimes is hot swap to start your skills, having pretty much the same exact build, just with boots, but I think the super is going to be fine without start your skills and the majority of content, especially paired with the Rocket Gallahorn. So that's one more overview of the build. I'll of course leave a dim link in the description. If you have any changes or suggestions or anything like that, feel free to let me know in the comments. This is just how I think I would enjoy the build, and a lot of people ask me what I would suggest for a Strand Hunter. And I think this is really, really good. I got a very, very smooth legendary campaign with this build, and I think you'll enjoy it. This is probably something I plan on taking into the raid, but we haven't fully decided as well. So that's Strand Hunter. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it helped you out. If you did, all I ask is that you leave a comment and a like. Helps the algorithm a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until the Titan one, and until the next build, and until the next video, I'll see you very soon.